Good morning, you guys, and welcome to the It's Your Story to Tell podcast, where brave people share how they overcame tough times to inspire others in what is possible. I'm your host today, Hannah Chijoke Davis, and I am one of the coaches of the It's Your Story to Tell Coach Collective. You guys, I am so happy to be talking with our guest today, Jennifer Lane Stark. She is a dear friend of mine from when I lived in Texas, and we have known each other for well over a decade, I think. Yeah. We met in our church at the time, and I just remember Jennifer's smile was always one that lit up my day and brought joy. Today we're actually going to be doing kind of a two-part series for Jennifer's story. So today we're going to be diving into the background, the nitty-gritty, and the challenges that I've kind of watched Jennifer navigate over the years, and then how she just chose to pivot and begin to live her life with intentionality and authenticity, finding victory on this new path that she chose to walk. So that will kind of be the second part of our podcast. So I'm just really excited about this. I'm so glad that she was able to come on and share with us. We live far apart for some years now, but I continue to follow Jennifer on social media and just was inspired by her realness and vulnerability of what she shared and how she was living her life with intentionality and purpose. So I asked if she'd be willing to come share her story with us here and her vision. And I was just delighted when Jennifer said yes. Because Jennifer, I think your story is one that many women will resonate with. And I know you have a powerful message to share. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. All right. So a little bit more about Jennifer. You're many things. I think it's a lot. Women tend to wear a lot of hats, right? But you are an amazing woman, a mother. She's got a beautiful daughter, Liberty. You are a newly remarried wife, a newlywed. I think you got married last month, right? Beginning of November.
Yes. Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Jennifer's a daughter and a friend. And Jennifer also has a background as a registered nurse. She worked over a decade in women's health, and also worked as a preschool nurse, a director, a teacher. But Jennifer is a certified Optavia coach now, and her focus and her passion really is to empower women of all ages by equipping them with tools to become the dominant force of their own lives, helping them to learn to dream bigger and to achieve the goals that they set for themselves while focusing on their physical and mental health. So Jennifer, again, like I said, thank you so much. I'm so delighted that you're here to share with us today. And I'm going to kind of take a step back, and I'm just going to invite you to kind of share your story with us and your history and kind of what you have walked through.
Oh, thank you so much, Hannah. All of this is so tear-worthy, just thinking about how your smile that walked into my life about 12 years ago really changed me forever. A beautiful woman with what I thought was a couple of children. You had many children under your wings, and you were just looking for Sunday school classes, or I think it was vacation Bible school classes. And I was there to help navigate you get to your classroom. I had no idea the journey that we would have in the following months and years. And here we are 12 years later. I am just honored and privileged because I did not know I needed a Hannah in my life. But I'm so thankful that God saw fit to bring you across my path. And here we are today. I love the name of your podcast, A Story to Tell, because that's really where I feel we all have something to share, creating, although a place of safety to share it. So thank you for creating such a safe place for women to come, and all that you interview to sit in your room and to openly share their heart and their mind to help somebody else. So my journey, again, I love starting kind of from the beginning, but also where I am today. I'm 53 years old. You kind of summed it up. I'm a newlywed. I've been divorced 4 years, but remarried a couple of months. My journey started in 1970. I was born in a beautiful home with loving parents. And I think like every little person, we just looked to our moms and the other women in our life to model
Mm-hmm.
what we're supposed to be doing. I became a Christian
Sure.
around the age of 13 through my mom. I remember receiving Jesus in my heart as a young woman and knowing that I would have an eternal place to go when I left the earth. But it didn't stop there. I do feel like at some point we think we went to school, we checked the box, we became a Christian, and that's really the end of your story.
Mm-hmm.
That was really just the beginning. And as I left my nest at home and went to college, I ended up going to nursing school. Really just being a follower, not a leader. I wasn't really modeled how to be a leader. Nothing wrong with that, but and again, I was raised by the most beautiful, loving, giving parents and mom. I just had um, aspirations to be the best mom and wife, watching my mom do the same. And I went on to be married. I was married for 20 years. I had one child. Um, and I literally walked out of my workplace with a stethoscope around my neck. I had complications after delivery.
Yeah.
I don't even know exactly how I'm still standing, but 5
Mm-hmm.
transfusions later, a hysterectomy, lots and lots and lots of prayer. Praise God. People were just praying all over the United States for me in the hospital the night of Thanksgiving 2002. I
Mm-hmm.
woke up with my life and a baby that was healthy and strong. And now I was going to navigate life after childbirth and also knowing that I wouldn't have or birth my own children again.
Yeah,
I
that
was
was a
just thankful to
fairly
be
traumatic.
alive.
Yeah,
Well, it
exactly.
was.
That was
And
a traumatic
um,
thing.
we dismiss so much of the reality of I was in OBGYN doctor's office care for women. I'm like, this stuff
Mm-hmm.
doesn't happen today. But the truth is it does. And I remember going to some scripture right after that, reading about a woman who died during childbirth, that God knew her story and he certainly didn't forget about mine. So I again leaned into my faith that if God was going to allow me to this to happen to me, that he was going to also take me to the next steps. The rest of the discovery was going to have to be figuring it out. And I, was committed from that minute I left the hospital to be the best mom and wife to this baby and to my spouse, also as a Christian. And I was so thankful for the opportunity, really just using the skills that I had that was almost like a ceiling in some ways, because
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't know there were options to grow and learn other things. I thought I'm just going to use what's in my toolbox until you have challenges with your children and you go and, the best advice, go to somebody who's been there. So that
Mm-hmm.
started trajectory around the age of maybe 5. I did not know how to manage my daughter, who was a beautiful young woman, little girl. Um, I was just using tools that I watched my mom use. And she didn't have a lot of tools in her toolbox. So pray harder, but it's going to take a lot more than prayer, in my opinion. And that's what I've learned too. I've got to take action. So I did. I sought counsel with other people that knew different than me and how to help myself, really, than to how to help my daughter. She just needed me to pivot a little bit, to stop and listen and to look her in the eyeball and to be still and to slow down. And really, we just started that from the very beginning, 5 and 7 and 10 and 12. Where things started to shift in my own home was in my marriage. I did not know I was a starver, overeater, nervous snacker. No one had ever explained that. I really never crossed my mind, but I was growing in my waistband and trying to figure out why I couldn't stay on top of my body and fitting in the clothes in my closet. And I know that sounds crazy. Um, I went to counseling. I was encouraged to journal. And as I'm telling my story, I'm getting feedback of try this or look into this. It really wasn't about the other person. It was really more take care of you. which I thought I was doing. I thought me taking care of other people was taking care of me. So that was my first reality, that taking care of other people is taking care of other people. That's not taking care of me. So as I look in the
Mhm.
mirror, I'm trying to figure out who this person is. And I had to get really clear on what I was dealing with. And what I was also seeking, which was, I love what we talked about, the authenticity part of being human. And do we have a safe place to be authentic? Well, I think
Mhm.
most of us think we're probably being authentic until you get down to the bare bones when something is incongruent. And I was feeling that. I was looking in the mirror and not seeing an authentic Jennifer that I
Mhm.
remember desiring to be. And it started with getting braces for my teeth. I was ignoring dental health, which not for perfection, but for real health, because I was having headaches. So I remember getting evaluated and getting braces. This would fix this problem. So then I went
Mhm.
on to the other thing. It sounds silly, but my hair was growing out, half gray, half pink, half I had color, and I was trying to find, where is the authentic me under this color that I'd been coloring
Mm.
my hair for so long. So I let my hair color grow off. Then the next is within relationships. If I'm using tools that we were challenged to do, and then coming back with the same issues and same problems, it's very, very frustrating when you think you're doing all the right things. But the best advice I got from a counselor, was marriage counseling, was to stay on my own plate. So instead of poking at the other person's plate,
Mm.
what they're not doing, really just stay on my plate and what am I doing? And when I started doing that, things started becoming clear and clear and clear. Now, don't get me wrong, I really didn't want to do this, but I felt like if I was going to do anything to move forward, I was going to have to work on me, which I would say, now that I've been coaching for 3.5 years, most women don't want to look in the mirror. They do not want to know the real truth. They would rather focus on everybody else so we don't have to deal
It's
with us.
much, I was gonna say it's much more uncomfortable when we have to start looking at ourselves, right? We have to start doing that. But really, in reality, that's the only thing that we actually have any control over is our own selves and our own behavior and stuff. But it is much more uncomfortable when we have to start poking at our own plate, right?
Well, that's the, like, ding, 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 ding. That's the thing. What can we control? Nothing. Even in
Mhm.
childbirth, taking care of all the moms and babies, which you can't really control much. It's the process of
Mhm.
it. And
Mhm.
then when you get real clear on what you do have control over, it does relieve a lot of pressure of the things that you can't. However, you're still stepping back and realizing, oh, crud, I've got all this chaos in front of me that I have no control over. And how did it get like this? Well, I'll tell you
Yeah.
exactly how it got in my house. It got, my head was in the pantry. I started bringing in little bottles of wine, thinking, maybe if I could just relax a little better, I could just take the edge off. And I had not had
Mm.
alcohol in 17 years. As a personal choice within our marriage, we decided not to bring alcohol in our marriage. And it wasn't a wrong
Mhm.
decision. It was a great decision. But then at some point, I opened up the door to say, the chips and queso and the sleeves of cookies aren't working. Maybe I'll just try a little sips of alcohol. And it helped a little to
Mhm.
forget, to numb
Kind of
out,
a
and to
Band-Aid.
avoid. Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
I felt
Mhm.
kind of adultish, like I haven't drank in 17 years. I'm going to, bring this substance in and I'm going to be adult.
Hmm.
And it wasn't a lot, but it doesn't matter. It brought in something that really didn't serve the ultimate purpose, which was to get authentic, open, clear, mindful. That did
Mhm.
not help. All it did was delay the inevitable. It left my body in a physical place that was not healthy. How my body processes sugar and alcohol, not good at 50. It was not working well at all. I guess I was about 48. The real awakening was my daughter just noticed some behaviors under our roof, and she just said, Mom, She just called my attention to it. So in that moment, I remember you talk about an aha moment. I was like, did you see that? Did you see that? We had become so isolated. And again, not because somebody made me that way. I allowed myself to become isolated. I chose not to speak up. I chose not to ask questions. I thought I was doing what a Christian woman should do, is honor and obey and be quiet, volunteer more, drive more carpool, bake more cookies.
All the little perfect check boxes of what we consider mom life, right?
All
The
of
social
them.
media posts, right? Exactly. The social media perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I was not in social media. That's an interesting thing. There's no way I could have ever done that, which again, I'm thankful I didn't have that. That was a hard place to show up when things things seemed wonky. And how do you put wonky in social media when you have an image to uphold?
Right.
It's not congruent. It would not have worked. And, really nothing happened overnight in my journey. It really was an unveiling of sorts. As I took the next step to seek truth, God was revealing it along the way. And I will tell you, because people that are listening are coming from all avenues and areas under their roof, history, I was never, no bruises. You will never see indentions on my body. It was nothing like that. Nothing that really even hurt my ears. It's something very passive and quiet and very subtle. These behaviors took, again, no fault of the person that was directing them to me. It's just how we survive sometimes. However, we are only responsible for ourselves. So when it kind of came down to it, my job, I felt, was to take care of me, to be faithful to my commitment, to my marriage, and then also be the mom to my daughter. And that's what I did. I focused on those things. I also sought counsel in the things that I was seeing. As a nurse in my background, I knew to document. So I was journaling, documenting, what am I seeing? What am I feeling? That was very helpful. And then when my daughter kind of brought some things to light, I was like, I'm not the only one. Like, oh my gosh, maybe it's not me. And not wrong or right, not good or bad. It just left a little light on the subject so I could move forward. And that's really what I was looking to do. Literally took one day at a time. I will tell you, I had no idea how to take care of myself. Again, still helping all the people, doing all the things. And then it got to a point where I couldn't fit in the clothes in my closet. So I sought a friend who had friended me on Facebook. There's just a girl that just was friendly to me. And we created a...
Sorry, dear. I didn't mean to jump in there because I think we reached a little bit of a moment here. If we could take a quick pause, because I think it's a good kind of stopping point for our next session, because we kind of give us a great background. And I really thank you for being so open and vulnerable with that story. I know a lot of women are going to resonate with this because it is something that we all can kind of recognize in our own selves in different ways, right? Different stories, different circumstances, and different situations. But I think it's a challenge that we specifically as women have to work through, is that perfectionism, kind of trying to put this picture up and yet hiding the brokenness behind it, and a little bit of the chaos behind it sometimes, right? But on our next session, we're going to dive into the steps that you took to make a change and to pivot and to really start on a new path and a new journey, which I'm so excited for you to share.
Thank you so much.